behind themaskpresents.com. We're here with Brody Uttley from the band Rivers of Nihil. You guys just got off done tour with Dying Fetus and Exhumed. How'd that go for you guys?
Oh, it was awesome. It was probably some of the best shows that we've ever played as a band were on that tour, so we all had a really good time, and it was awesome, man.
Cool. You guys have a good reception pretty much every night?
Yeah, definitely. People were really into it.
Cool. Right on. You guys are recently signed with Metal Blade not too long ago, and you got a new album, Conscious Seed of Light, and you guys worked with Erik Rutan. What was it like working with him on that?
Working with Eric was awesome. I mean, he was definitely a real militant producer. I mean, he's like an old school guy, so I mean, he comes back from the time when you really had to perform your parts pretty accurately in the studio, because back when he first started recording, studio wizardry wasn't as popular as it is today, so he really kind of like whipped us into playing our parts as best as we could. So I mean, he was definitely like it was a real honor to work with him, and he did an awesome job. And but he was definitely really tough on us, but it ended up benefiting us in the long run. So
yeah, I've heard he's a real stickler for details like tunings and just a real perfectionist when it comes to a lot of sounds and stuff like that he tries to get.
Yeah, he's definitely especially with the tuning thing, like you were saying, he's definitely got a crazy ear for that kind of thing. I mean, there were some parts where we would spend like hours just on one part because the part just didn't sound in tune to him, and we would just keep going over it and over it and over it until it would sound good. And I mean, I can say listening to the album that I don't hear any parts that are out of tune, so I guess it paid off.
No, he constantly it seems like he constantly tries to put out the best product he can and get the most out of bands that he can. So and that really shines through in the album because everything sounds great.
Awesome. Sweet.
When you guys went to the studio, were a lot of the tracks mostly written already, or did you guys kind of have a little time to kind of tool around with some stuff?
No, excuse me. We had all of the songs written before we went into the studio. Two of the songs were from our older EPs. I think it's the 9th or the 8th song on the album, Human Adaptation. That song's from our first EP, and the third song, third song, Birth of the Omni Savior, is from our previous EP.
Cool.
Our second EPs, but other than that, we had everything written before we went in the studio, and we didn't really have a lot of time to mess around in the studio since we were only down there for 21 days, and we had to get everything done in that short period of time.
Right. Do you think bands nowadays pretty much, if they're going to put out a quality record, you pretty much you have to have everything done right? You before you even begin to even think of tracking anything. Do you think you have to have everything pretty much hammered out as it's going to be? Because just the cost of everything and just getting plus the timeliness of things anymore. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think this day and age with especially in the more technical realm of music, bands really have to have their stuff nailed down like hard before they go into the studio, else they're just going to end up wasting time and money in the long run. So I think it's definitely a pretty universal law for bands nowadays to have all of their stuff written before they enter the studio.
Yeah, right. If you can't play your parts, there's only so much a producer or an engineer can do to make it not sound shitty.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
So, yeah. If you have shit in, you're gonna get shit out when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good general rule, man. I totally agree.
Okay. The lyrical themes on the new album, I've seen a couple interviews and a couple statements that it kind of deals with new beginnings and kind of it's not a concept album, or is it a concept album?
It kind of is. It's loosely based on a central concept. I didn't write any of the lyrics. I'm more of like the music guy, but but from what I've heard our writer Biggs, our bassist, talk about, he has this idea for the 4 albums that we're going to be releasing through Metal Blade, that every album is going to have a different season,
Okay,
So like
cool.
this first CD was the spring season. The next one will be summer, and then winter, or fall and then winter. So the themes on this album were definitely like based on like new beginnings and like life and all that, springy sort of stuff. I'm not super familiar with the deeper concepts in it, but yeah, spring was definitely like the central idea behind this album.
Oh, cool. I think kind of the music works perfectly with that, since it's pretty diverse when it comes to a lot of where it sounds like the influences are coming from. Are you guys pretty diverse when it comes to your musical taste? I know most guys in metal bands don't just listen to metal music. That's just metal nerds on the internet. So you guys is there a lot of different stuff kind of going in the van when you guys are driving around?
Yeah, a lot. There's really not a lot. There's not too many bands that we all, agree on, like as far as like listening to them like in the van when we're on the road. But
Right.
I know a lot of us were like really into the older like progressive stuff from like the 70s, like King Crimson and Yes and stuff like that. But then we're also into like our traditional death metal influences. And then I know me and John who do most of the writing. We both listen to a lot of like post rock and post metal and shoegazy kind of stuff with a lot of like atmospheric noise and stuff. So I mean, we're I don't know, we kind of like put all that together and try to get a product that's our own, and you can definitely hear our influences on certain parts. But yeah, I mean, we listen to a lot of different stuff, man. I mean, we're not like just a metal fan band,
No, and I think